Welcome to my podcast story, the show where podcasters share the real journey behind their voices, from their first mic check to their biggest milestones. Every episode reveals the lessons, challenges, and breakthrough that shape a podcast star's journey. I'm your host, Wisdom Okonkwo, and I can't wait for you to hear today's story. In today's episode of my podcast story, we have Neena Perez, the passionate host of Straight Talk, No Sugar Added podcast. A show delivers exactly what the title promises: raw, uplifting conversations that transform lives without sugarcoating the difficult truths. As a transformational life and business coach with a remarkable background of overcoming childhood abuse, domestic violence, and poverty, Nina brings an authentic perspective to her podcasting work. Her journey from survivor to successful coach, author, and speaker informs every episode she creates, helping women heal from shame and build purpose-driven business. She's here to share how her podcast became an extension of her mission to turn pain into purpose and wisdom into words, and how our faith-forward approach to podcasting is creating lasting impact for our listeners around the world. What's your name and what you do?
My name is Neena Perez. I'm a transformational life and business coach and a podcaster. I'm also a chef. So I love doing all of that. So I help women actually create their own coaching businesses. And podcasting. I've been doing podcasting for some time. So that's something I really love.
Okay, and tell us about your podcast.
My podcast is really talking about entrepreneurship, faith, coaching. So what I like to do is take my audience on a journey of the person on my show. So I like to talk to entrepreneurs and people who have been through something in life that's been hard for them or something that has been tragic, how they overcame that thing, and then how they transform the world now. Because I believe that all of our stories are not for us. I believe our stories are for others, to help other people.
Oh, okay. Over the course of you explaining what the podcast is about, you never mentioned the name of the podcast.
I should have, right? Straight talk, no sugar added.
Okay. Straight talk, no sugar added. I'm curious, how did you come about that name?
Well, I'm a straight talker. I like to tell things like they are. And I've always been, people have always said that, damn, Neena, that was a little too harsh. You should sweeten that up a little bit. And I'm like, well, no sugar added, And that's how I kind of birthed out of really just, I just believe in being honest. I believe in being straightforward. I just believe in saying things the way they are. And sometimes there's no sugar to it. You just have to say what you say, right? And people either like it or they don't. And I'm kind of that kind of personality. You either like me or you don't like me. So I just feel like when we're showing up in the world, like what you are doing right now with starting your podcast journey and all of that, it's important for us to show up authentically. And that means sometimes that you just have to speak the truth, whether somebody likes it or not.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. Straight talk, no sugar added. Wait, no sugar added. Yeah, straight talk, no sugar added. Wow. And then you add with Neena Perez. Yeah, that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
How long have you been doing the podcast for?
2018.
Okay.
So about 7 years.
Wow.
Yep.
That's a long time.
Oh, it is. I love it though. I love it.
Okay.
Yeah, I got over 600 episodes or something at this point. And for a while, I even started another podcast called Memoirs of a Fat Girl, but I stopped that one because I wanted to focus on this one. So that one was about like boot camps and nutrition and workouts and things like that. But I only did maybe like 20 or 30 episodes on that one.
Oh, okay. Is it still like live up there? If I go check it out, would I find it?
Yeah, you should find it. I think I might have just changed the name to Chef Neena Perez. So you'll find it either under Chef Neena Perez or Memoirs of a Fat Girl. You'll find it on either one.
Okay, so you're thinking of, going back once in a while, like in the future. We don't even know if it's near future.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. My podcast, I think, is evolving right now. It's interesting because I am going to subscribe to your podcast. I like the conversations you're having.
Thank you.
And you're talking, you're welcome. You're talking to Alan, who I told you is somebody that I'm coaching with right now. And I've been talking to him about that, like how I want to evolve straight talk. So we'll see what that comes out to be. Sometimes we are on this journey. We start one way, and through the journey, you start to discover you want to go either back to something you love or you discover new things you want to talk about. So I'm excited about what the future holds.
Okay. It's always there. And yeah, it's a journey. And one of the things about podcasting that I love is that everyone's journey is different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm glad you're doing this. Is this, I know I'm not interviewing you, but
No, feel
is this
free.
your
It's a,
first podcast
we're having
or?
a conversation. No, this is not my first.
Oh, okay. Oh, so you do others.
Yeah, I have the podcast. Yeah,
Oh, great.
I wanted, when I started this podcast, so I could just, out of curiosity, let me just say this. I was like, okay, why do you still have to start a podcast about a podcast? I mean, there's so many podcasts about podcasting out there. Why do you have to? I noticed that all the podcasts were like, how to start a this, how to this, which they're all fantastic in their own rights, right? But I was like, well, no podcast is sharing their story. Like, I want to know, like, what's happening? Like, why did they even start the podcast? Why did I noticed that
Yeah.
they did not publish for like 6 months. What happened? What was going on? And to really
Mm.
get to ask those questions and, get behind the scenes and see all the things the podcasters are dealing with and all that. Podcasters are humans too.
Yeah. That's a really good angle too, because I think a lot of podcasters, at least from what my experience, people that I talk to that are in that podcast space,
Yeah.
there's a really nice humanity to that. And a lot of us who come out here is just because we have something to say and we really want to help anyone who will listen. And you're right. A lot of people fade out, right? So I think the statistics were like, I think it's like 60 something percent of podcasters have pod fade within the
Yeah.
first year,
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's something I think people think, oh, it's so fun, but it is a lot of work behind the scenes.
Yeah. It's a lot of work.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think of it this way that every place you see that the grass is greener, there's manure there. So you either
That's
get to
right.
choose the kind of manure you want to deal with. It's if you some people are like, I don't mind it, I like it, and they're like, nah, I can't stand that, nah, not interested.
Right.
Yeah, but it's a complete package. It comes together. So you're not like, give me the green
Yeah.
grass. I don't need the manure. No, together. Okay.
Yeah.
Earlier on, I was asking you, you started the podcast. I want us to step back 7 years now, maybe 8 years.
Mm.
What was the reason behind you starting the podcast? Why did you start the podcast? I know of course you told us the benefits of the podcast or what you wanted to do,
Mm.
but what was the inspiration that led to you say, okay, we should start a podcast of all the things you could have done? I mean, the blog was there, YouTube was there, and all that. So like, my own podcast. Why?
Because I wanted to help as many women as I could. I had written my autobiography. It's called Hit Me With Your Best Shot. And I've had a pretty tumultuous life and a lot of abuse in my life and things like that. And I'm a Christian, and I had gone and gotten my certification into Christian leadership for women. And I started helping women. And then I got into just studying the Bible and things like that. And then I got into writing my autobiography. And when it came out, I couldn't believe how many people it was impacting. Like they just told me that it was changing their life and that they can come to me and speak to me about things that have happened to their life.
Yeah.
And that's what started it. I really started the podcast at first to just take my story and what I was learning just to talk. I was talking to nobody because nobody was listening in the beginning,
Yeah.
right? Maybe one person, and that was probably my husband, right? But I did it that way. But then I realized that, even to this day, I have a few people who have emailed me and have told me that they started the podcast from day one of the podcast, which is, 7, 8 years now, and that it's transforming their life. And so I'm telling you, like, that is to me the reason why I do this,
Ooh.
But that's why I started. I really started to help myself at first, right?
Yeah.
And then anyone who would listen. And I figured if one person gets transformed, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing while I'm here on earth.
Oh, podcasting is a journey of faith, right? Like, I'll explain what I mean by that, because I know you're like, oh, what do you mean? Are you saying podcasting is? I'm not saying podcasting is a religion. No, I'm just saying, to stand out there and say, I'm going to speak out to the void with
Yes.
the belief that someone will hear me, right? And for the
Yes.
first 3-6 months you're doing it, depending on, if you already have a following and all that, you're looking at the numbers and there is nobody, nothing's budging. And you see 2 listeners, you are the one that went to Spotify to listen
Right.
to the podcast to see how the audio sounds.
It's so funny.
Sometimes
That's true.
and it feels good. It feels good too. You're like, yeah. I mean, I get listeners. I mean, and then you tell yourself that I have to support myself first before I start asking others to support me. I mean, I'm my first supporter. Okay. And so it's a journey of faith, and it's
Yeah.
because, of course, most persons podcast is not their thing, but for some persons they really want to do podcast. And I wouldn't want a situation where it grieves my heart when I see people who want to podcast, not podcast because they're afraid of 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 what it might amount to. They're scared, right? And wow, yeah. Back to what you said earlier on. You said um the podcast was for yourself, and then you then said, okay, I hope that it transforms someone's life. Could you expand on what you meant by for you? What does that mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I needed healing in my life. And I also wanted to hold myself accountable to the things that I believe. And so, because I was getting into reading the Bible more in my life and having that faith in my life, it was making me study, and it was making me, do the work that I probably would have given myself a pass for, because I knew that if I was going to put my voice out there, and if one person listened,
Yeah.
I better be telling the truth, and I better be, doing the right thing. So it kept me accountable. That's really why I did it. Now, are there things that I've said in my podcast that I'm like, girl, why'd you say that? That's ridiculous. Yes, of course, because that's called evolving. And that's why I don't remove any of my old episodes, because even though I may not agree with the Nina from 7, 8 years ago, I still honor her because she was in a growth mode.
Yeah.
Right. And so I allow all of the stuff that I maybe believed in before that I maybe don't believe in now. Like, somebody says to me, you're not the same person you used to be, you change. I'm like, yes,
Of course.
great. I want to be different tomorrow too.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to be the same version of me. So I think podcasting does that for you, especially if you're in the game long enough. You start to see your evolution and your growth and your mind transforming, and you start to have connections now and different people around you in different environments. And I think it's not it's not something that I think people should get into if they think it's just going to be a passive thing. I think that if you're going to get into podcasting, you should get into it for the long haul. And the reason I say that is because somebody who follows you and is inspired by you needs you in the world, right?
Yeah.
And I think that our voice is important. And if you are going to come out with 3 episodes and then just kind of fade out, you don't know if those 3 episodes were going to transform somebody's life and now they have no more of you because you decided you didn't want to do it. It is dedication. And I show up all the time and I make sure of it. Like right now, I think I have maybe about 15 episodes in the queue that are my team is editing and getting ready to bring out. I don't play games when it comes to podcasting. I really love it, but I do it with intention. I want to make sure that whoever listens is going to get something out of it. And it may be huge for them. At least that's the feedback I get from my audience, that it is big for them. And I get, in the beginning, I'll be honest with you, I never bothered with the numbers, seeing how many people saw it, how many people didn't. And because when I first started, I thought that was important. And then I realized my audience is of one. For me, it's God. That's my audience, right?
Yeah.
And so I better show up to the best version of myself because...
Quick break. Before we continue, I'd love to invite you to join the My Podcast Story newsletter. Each week, I share highlights from our guest stories, behind-the-scenes podcasting tips, and resources to help you grow your own show. You can sign up at mypodcaststory.com/join. That is mypodcaststory.com/join. Now, let's get back to the episode.
If nobody else is listening, God is, right? And so I don't look anymore, but my coaches do. And so they'll tell me like, oh, this, you have 170,000 views on YouTube. And, you have over, I don't know, was it like 8,000 a month on podcasts or whatever. And that's all good. Thank you. Great. And I love that. Right. But if you didn't listen, I'd still show up anyway.
Yeah. That is most persons will hear that and say, "Oh, so are you saying we should not grow our podcast? We shouldn't invest in, having people listen to our podcast? I mean, we want to change the world. We want to get the message across to a lot of persons." But it's like the guy who was trying to rescuing certain, let's just say for the purpose of this conversation, he was trying to take out some of the um what's the word? I won't call them fish, but sea organisms that were on the beach, and because the sun was getting scorching hot, and the it was trying to throw them back into the sea, and if he did not do that, they would die. But there were so many on the beach that it's like thousands that with the number of time he had and with the way the sun was so hot, he could only try to like throw very few compared to the amount that was there. And so someone looked at him and asked him, well, why, what's the use of doing all this stuff if, you could only get a few and all that? And he was like, it means a whole lot difference to every one of them.
That's right. That's right. That's
And
so good, right?
yeah,
If we could just live our lives like that, how much of an impact would we have? Right? If we stop trying to be like the gurus out there and, have millions of followers and they're so amazing and stuff like that. And, I got out of that delusion. I'll call it a delusion and an illusion from the gurus, and a delusion of me wanting to hit millions of people. And the reason for that is, I started to realize I've been in the game for some time. I have a pretty good following in business and, and stuff like that, and very deep connections with the people that I coach and stuff like that. And I realized that what am I doing trying to chase this illusion, of millions of people, or it doesn't matter, that is not true. And I tell people, like, think about it this way. You're telling me that only 20 people listen to my podcast. What's the point? Okay, but think about it like this. 20 people just came knocking at your door and want to come over for dinner. Is that a lot of people, or is that not a lot of people? And they're like, that's a lot of people. I'm like, exactly. So 20 people are knocking at the door of your podcast and you're feeding them, right?
yeah,
That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. And I think we need to stop thinking about it being hundreds and thousands and millions and whatever. Start with the one, and then maybe 10, and then maybe 20. And if you are good at what you do and you're consistent, it'll grow.
yeah, 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 yeah. I like that because sometimes the numbers we sometimes we get disconnected from the numbers that all we start saying is numbers and we forget that there are people behind those numbers. And it does help to
Yeah.
once in a while to have conversations with your listeners so that you just start saying that, oh yeah, this people are not just numbers. I mean, there are people that actually listen to my stuff. I know we know that people
Yeah.
listen to it, but I mean, there's this disconnect. You're always recording in the studio. Hello, guys, everyone. You're talking to people you cannot see, yeah, or there's no
Mm-hmm.
way. And then you're like, so for some time later on, you forget that, oh, it's actual people. It's not like you forget, but you just lose the reality of it. You just cannot comprehend that reality anymore. And then like, oh,
Yeah.
we get 5,000 listens. Oh, I wish we got 100,000 listens. Oh, I wish we.
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah. It's that illusion of arriving. That's the illusion. The illusion
Yeah.
of arriving to whatever the thing is, right? Like we're always, oh, when I make 6 figures, I've arrived. Well, I've made 6 figures and I'm still seeking, right? So the truth is we are always in that illusion that if I get 1,000 listeners, I got it. You get 1,000, it's like about 2,000, and you get 2,000, it's about 3,000. The truth is it's an illusion of arriving. Just go for the integrity of what you're doing. Be truthful about what you're doing. There's too much crap in the world. So how about you don't add to the crap? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Be somebody who just shows up for real and be authentic. And honestly, and you probably see this talking to so many people, is people are done with the shenanigans and the lies and the big illusions. And people are done with that. They just want a real, authentic, truthful conversation over a topic that they like, period. That's all people care about anymore because people are done with it. They're just done. I see it a lot too in my coaching practice, right? Like I have great clients, they're moving forward, I have all this great stuff, but they're done. They're done with make 50,000 a month, in 3 days. And I'm like, we're so sick of it. We're so done. We're so done. Let's just keep it real. Let's be honest. Let's be authentic with one another.
Yeah.
I mean, look, you have this beautiful opportunity right now where you are across the world, right? You're on the other side and I'm across from you.
Yeah.
And yet we can have this beautiful, real, on time conversation.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah. And a lot of persons want to listen to that. And I mean, with the AI and everything that's happening, people like what's happening is that the internet has been flooded with a lot of AI generic content, which in their own right, they have their place, but People are looking for
Yeah.
connection. They want to listen in on conversations, hear people's stories. And I think podcasting is the only medium that I see really, really, really does like thorough
Yeah.
justice to that.
Well, yes. And there's also now AI generated podcasts,
Yeah, I mean,
right?
yeah,
And so, yeah, AI is beautiful. I love it. I use it. I think it's great. It's a great tool, but you are 100% spot on. I think people tune into conversations like this because they are real and we're not, computer generated. And quite frankly, I'm tired of looking at those too. You know what I mean? Like you
yeah,
hear the same script with a different face. And I'm like, oh man, this is so frustrating. You don't know who to trust. You don't know what's real. And AI is getting better and better too, by the way. Like every time I see it, I'm like, is that a real person or is that AI? I can't tell anymore. It's getting harder to tell.
yeah.
So,
At,
yeah.
at the end of the day, it's about lived experience. I'll give an example. Warren Buffett can say, save your money or invest in S&P, something like that. I don't really know.
Hmm.
Well, one simple basic investing advice, and I will be out there and I will say, invest in this. I will break it, analyze it, I will make it poetic, and people will just look at me and like, I mean, get out this hungry looking kid out of here. But Buffett just comes out and he says it, and he's not even clear or coherent. He's not even eloquent, and he says it, and people are like, wow, brilliant advice. They change it to quotes,
Yeah.
they crest it, and they put it and say, Warren Buffett, invest in reading books, something like that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
but I said that. I said it more
Right.
eloquently. Mine is poetic. What's going on here? It's the fact that our lived
So
experience
true.
gives volume to our words. And
Yes.
AI can say these
Oh,
things
yeah.
poetic, but there's no live experience that will give volume to the words. And so I'm like, yeah, I
That's
mean,
right.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
right.
the stuff makes sense, but I mean, there's really nothing there. So it's the same thing with creating content, and that's why people have to like be out there, not just. So every time I see people creating generic content that AI can create, I cringe, and I'm like, I mean, I could just
Yeah.
generate this stuff. Why did you have to do this?
Right. Right. And it's because people they think, and they will hoodwink somebody. Right. So a lot of times, I think that they just feel like they just need to do something. And here's the thing. I know that people sometimes say, do it messy or do it anyway or fake it
Yeah,
till you make it, like all the sayings, right? Fake it till you make. I don't believe that. I think sometimes you got to do things messy because sometimes you're not going to know if you're good or not unless you try.
yeah,
I do
yeah.
believe that. I honestly
Okay,
believe that.
okay,
What I don't like is the fake it till you make it thing. Just don't fake it at all. Just be real from the beginning, right?
yeah,
And that way you don't ever have to be called out on your garbage. Like just be real.
yeah,
And I think that before maybe in 2020 or 2021 and going through all the pandemic stuff and all that kind of stuff, maybe in that time people were more falling into the fake it till you make it thing. But by now in 2025, people are burnt out, tired, and done with the garbage. They're done.
yeah,
Right. And so now people are really looking for real, authentic, wonderful conversations that give them tips, strategies, tools, and value. That's what people are looking for. And if you are going to just throw out a bunch of garbage and random stuff, to your point, that you can just put up on ChatGPT, it's just not going to work anymore. It's just not. It's not working. And
yeah.
people need to change strategy.
I
Yeah.
think that's the whole idea of live experiences. Do stuff, talk about the stuff, do more stuff, and then talk about the stuff. It's like, for this example, I could make a video and like how I interview guests on my podcast and make the conversation, what's the word, exciting, right? Now, keep emphasis on the word how I, not how to, right? So I
Yeah.
come on the podcast and say, first thing I do on my podcast when I interview guests is I do this. Second thing I do is I try to do, an example is I had this conversation with Nina and this and then I talk and I share it and I make a really good video on how my own process and how I cook my own podcast episodes, like as the chef, emphasis on the word chef, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I talk about my
Mm-hmm.
recipes and all that. And guess what? Someone comes up and say, "Well, you're not supposed to start by asking them their name on the podcast and stuff like that. That doesn't ease them into the conversation." And I'm like, "Yeah, you're correct, but this is how I do mine, and that's why I shared."
Right. Right.
You get?
Right. And you're giving them a strategy too, right? Like, and that's the other thing too. I mean, let's also be real. There's a lot of trolls out there, right? A
Yeah,
lot of trolls, a lot of people that want to just pull you into conversations that are not worth your time. So lots of times I don't read the reviews. A lot of people will say to me, whatever they say. And I'm like, I don't read the reviews, dude. Like, I don't read the reviews. The only time I'll ever have to read a review is if somebody commented on a video where they want my strategy and they want me to send it to them, or something like that. But if it's like, oh, I don't like your hair, or I hate the way you said that, or whatever, I don't care. I don't care. Right? Because what I care about is the person who did get value. I don't care about you trolling. I'm not going to waste my time. Our time is too valuable, right?
Yeah.
Our time is too valuable. I think right now it's probably, is it evening for you? It's probably late at night for you, right?
It's 1:44 a.m.
AM, see?
Yeah, Friday.
And you're still dedicated enough to take time to speak to somebody in the U.S. because right now it's 7:44 p.m. for me. Yeah. And it's that, right? It's that hustle and that love for it and the dedication to show up and to show up at your best, how many times you can show up at your best, And so don't read the reviews. Whoever's listening and wants to do a podcast, don't read the freaking reviews. Don't waste your time with it and show up authentically day in, day out. Be true to you. Don't worry about everybody else. They all have an opinion. It's just the way it is, right?
Yeah.
And once you're in a public eye, it is what it is. You're going to get people who love you and people who hate you. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah. Still on the idea of cooking stuff. How does your podcast get made? Like from idea to publication? What are the tools, the systems, and all that?
Yeah, so the tools I use for recording, I use wave.video. Wave.video is like a StreamYard.
Okay.
But I got it. I don't know if you know AppSumo. Do you know AppSumo?
Yeah. Wow.
Okay. So I love AppSumo. So I got it from AppSumo maybe about 2 years ago. I've been using it ever since. It is a phenomenal tool. So it's called wave.video. So that's how I record all my videos. As far as content, I use a lot of life experience, whether it's from one of my clients or something that happened at home or a conversation that I had. I'm like, wow, that's a great topic, right? So let me break this down. Like, the 5 topics of whatever, emotional intelligence, or 3 topics on this, or whatever it is I want to talk about. Because I try to stay in the categories of, mental health, transformation, coaching. I try to stay within that entrepreneurship. So I won't talk about politics because I don't know enough about politics to defend it or fight it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's one of those things that if you get into politics, you kind of have to stay in that lane.
Yeah.
And I don't want to stay in that lane. So I don't do it.
Yeah.
I have my own views, my own thoughts about it, of course, but I speak to only my family about it. I don't really feel like it's something that I need to bring out into the world, period. Right?
Okay.
So I think about it that way. And then, sometimes I'll use AI to help me kind of strategize. I don't use AI to do everything for me, but I do use it to kind of get what's in my head out and then organize it, So I'll say, okay, I want to talk about unwanted behaviors, and these are the 5 things I want to talk about. Can you help me kind of strategize in which order they should be, blah, blah, blah. And that's how I'll, maybe come up with the topic, of conversation for that episode. Yeah.
Okay. So you record with wave.video, and I'm curious, out of curiosity, because I use AppSumo too, and it's just that when sometimes I miss out on some incredible deals that.
Me too. Yeah. I hate that. I'm like, damn it, I missed that one. I missed it.
Sometimes I probably shouldn't say this, but I wish there was a black market to buy and sell. I didn't say that.
I feel the same way.
AppSumo will say, you said something against our terms and conditions. But yeah, because because I have I'm using Cast Magic right now, and I use it for my podcast, and that tool is fantastic. Like I put in the episodes, it gives me descriptions, it gives me the titles, and I've spent some time working on the prompts that it gives me titles, it gives me the call to action, like full show notes and everything. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, I just put in the episode. And the sweet thing is that when I put the episode, right, sometimes let's say this conversation, maybe 2 months later, I'm like, oh yeah, I did have a conversation with Nina. Yeah, did I promise her something? I'm like, okay, I'll go back and I'm like, I can chat with the episode and say, yeah, what was the promise I made to Nina? And like normal ChatGPT stuff. It gives me like, oh, you didn't make any promise to Nina. You guys just had a lovely conversation. That was all. And I'm really excited. I bought that too. Yeah. Wow.
It's awesome. It's called Cast Magic, right?
Yeah, Cast Magic. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it on AppSumo and didn't get it. So
Ooh,
whatever.
but there's an alternative right now. It's called Cap Show. I don't know if you heard of it.
Oh, I did see that
Yeah.
on there, but I wasn't sure. Okay.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
saw Cap Show.
It's- you-
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
have one called transcript.lol.
Oh,
Transcript.lol.
I was aware of that too. Like, see,
Yeah.
the thing about it is that we have very little amounts of money. And then I was like, the tool looks too basic. I was like, are you sure this is not one of those tools that after 3 months, 6 months, it just phases out? And I'm like, I'm like, nah.
It actually has gotten better. It has
Yeah.
so many new features
Wow,
now.
that's
Yeah, I
brilliant.
mean, yeah, it is. And I love AppSumo. The problem is that I love AppSumo. I'm always on there. That's the
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
You know, I have so many tools. I'm like, what do I need with all these
Yeah.
tools?
Yeah, for me, I'm always excited when I see a tool that I'm already paying for every month on AppSumo, and I'm like straight up, I'm like,
Yes.
yeah, it's a
Yeah.
I should get it. And so something like if I see, yeah, there's one tool that I've been looking at recently, and that is Collaba. I don't know if you know of it. Start with a Q. Yeah, it's more like it integrates all the different AI models onto one platform. So when you chat with it, it gives you can chat with 5 different AI models at the same time, and you can get 5 different outputs at the same time. And you can also like think of, instead of paying for ideogram, you know ideogram, right? Image generation,
I've
paying
heard
for
of
all
it.
these tools and Claude and all that.
Mm-hmm.
You can actually pay for one subscription, and it bundles it together, and so you can chat with it. And yeah, so I've been looking
And
at
what
it.
is it? What's it called? I'll be looking at it. What is it called?
QOLABA. I don't know how you pronounce that, but I don't know. How do you say it? Would that be Kolaba? I don't know.
I think so. Colada, right?
Yeah.
Colada?
Kolaba,
That sounds
laba.
like it. I'm gonna
Yeah.
check it out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna check it out. Yeah, it's very interesting. There's another one there called Niches that does like, it's more for coaches, but it gives you like niches of everything and breaks everything down, does lesson plans, courses, like everything.
Niches.
So yeah, niches.
Oh,
Yeah.
isn't niches or niche? It has a double S, niches.
Yes.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay.
That
Okay,
one.
yeah.
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 I don't use it, but my friend uses it and she absolutely loves it.
Yeah,
So,
there's
yeah.
been some fantastic tool on the platform. For me, I've
There really
always been looking
has.
at how can I save time, right? And with AI getting better, how can I automate and set up certain things in place that makes it really, really easy. And one of the
Yeah.
things that I've been doing is the guesting parts, the booking and the onboarding. I won't really call it onboarding, but you know, the relationship, the communication with guests has been. I think I've figured out that part. Yeah, we could improve it, but I mean, we've dialed it in. Where the platform I use, I got it from AppSumo to Zika. I don't know if you've heard of it.
No.
Yeah,
No, I don't know that one.
it's a Calendly alternative. Paid how much did I pay? $59.
Ah.
And I have the tool. I have all the features and everything. It's way better than TidyCab. I won't really say that way
it
better.
is. Okay.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah,
better
because I got
because
Tidy Cow. Yeah.
but I don't like the fact that TidyCab watermarks the stuff. I don't like. I mean, I don't like seeing their logo
Yeah.
and all that stuff. And so
Yeah.
I pay for it, and I can customize all those follow-up messages you got from me when I was like, hi, it's 3 days to your meeting. So excited to see you and stuff like that. Those were all automated.
Yeah, I wish
right?
Tidy Cow did that. And Tidy Cow
Yeah,
doesn't really do that.
It does it.
It does. It does, but it's very plain. It's just very, very, like, I can't customize it the way I would want to customize it.
Yeah, you can customize Zika, and you can even do SMS. So, but in order for SMS to work, you would have to collect phone numbers from your guests when they book a meeting.
Still, that's good though. A lot of people give it to you now.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah,
to
I love
send
that.
you an SMS with the link and everything and say, hi, Nina, your meeting is about 25 minutes. This is the link to the podcast meeting and all that. And it kind of reduces no shows and all that. And yeah, so I don't even pay monthly,
Zika.
and I'm using the tool. And one thing I love about the tool is, I wish I bought the higher plan, is that the tool has 3 users connected to it. So, which in actual sense means I got 3 pro plan.
Okay. Yep.
So I actually got 3 license. So I can add someone, 2 other persons to my team, and they help me handle everything. So yeah, same thing with what's the word? Cast Magic. It helps to automate the process and simplifies the production and everything, right?
So you can't record on Cast Magic?
No, you can't record on Cast Magic. I just upload the episode. It transcribes it, writes the show notes,
Okay.
and that's what it does. And the thing I love about Cast Magic is you can add a member of your team, right? So
Oh, good. So they can
yeah,
do it all for you.
So you have
Yeah.
your own account, but you can add someone as a member of the team, so they can do the copy and pasting and all those posting and all that. So you don't have to stress yourself about it,
Yes.
which is really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is nice. I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've noticed recently, right, is that most podcasters, and everybody does it. I just noticed it's a pattern. Once an episode goes live, that's the end of the episode. I mean, we move on to the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing. And
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
for people like us that create evergreen kind of content, that my content will still be relevant 6 months from now, 1 year from now. And
Mm-hmm.
like, it doesn't just
Mm-hmm.
make sense to just record an episode of gold and just leave it there. Yeah,
Yeah, you're talking about doing shorts, creating shorts, things like that. Do you, do you use anything for that, for creating shorts?
yeah, there are really, really fantastic tools out there. But there's a tool I saw on AppSumo, and I cannot believe in the tool, but just that the tool is not developing as fast as I would want it to be developing. So hopefully they do develop, because
Is it Minvo or what is it? Minvo?
it's called Rip.video.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've seen that one.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
got Minvo. Minvo's okay. I got Minvo. I also have Taja. I don't know if you've seen
Tasha,
Taja.
yeah. That does
Yeah.
the YouTube optimization and all that. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That's
I
been pretty cool. I actually been playing around a lot with that, and it does repurpose content for you.
Wow,
So it does all of the shorts, and then you can post it from there to your socials.
wow. That's brilliant. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The shots
That one's not bad.
the shots is nice and all that, but for me, I'm always thinking that, like, possible ways to actually have the full episodes come back because this stuff is valuable. Like, I mean, we should give it more opportunity to like really shine and be
Mm-mm.
out there. Sometimes one of the things I had a conversation with a host, more like a guest, but my guests are podcast hosts, so yeah, but my podcast guest, and one of the things she suggests was that roundups, they really work well, right? So I could do a roundup where over the course of these interviews, I would round up, let's say, the top 20 reasons why female podcasters start their podcast. And then I would go through all the sections. So where
That's
the part
smart.
where I asked you, why did you start your podcast? And you're like, oh, I started my podcast because of this, and I'll compile it, and then I'll have a roundup of maybe 20 female podcasters, and then they all share their
Mm.
reasons why they started a podcast. And that would round up. And then people who are interested in seeing the full episode of, oh, I love this lady. I love her. I feel like our mission and vision really align with what I want to do. I would love to see a full episode. And guess what? There'll be links to all the full episodes of, oh, yeah, go check out Nina's episode.
That's smart.
Yeah.
That's smart.
Yeah.
It's a smart strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good way to bring some views back from like episodes that you maybe forgot you even had, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
that's really good.
Yeah. Recently, yeah. I feel like I'm just sharing so much ideas, but it's a conversation.
I love it. Yeah. Keep going. Like another way too is blogging, right? If you somebody who likes to blog or have a website, like there's one on AppSumo called Blogify.
Yeah.
And Blogify has been great because you add your link and it does an entire blog for you.
Yeah.
Very simply, and it posts it right onto my WordPress site. So it's already on there. Like I don't do anything but just put the link in, which is amazing.
Yeah. And the way AI tools are getting really better, you can actually spend maybe 3 to 4 hours, really spend some time to customize the prompt and actually the way you want it, and even feed some of your write-ups and all that. And then you can even ask the AI to say, I want you to use the tone of the actual transcript. That way it uses it studies the way you talk like in real life, and then you write it that way and doesn't try to like model things up, and you can have a full blog post.
I like that.
Yeah, because recently I noticed that we have unfair advantages, right? But we're always looking for what's the next thing. How do I get the next guest, next celebrity guest that will make my podcast blow up? How do I get the next marketing strategy, the next stuff, and next all these things? But I'm like, if you've been doing a podcast for like maybe as long as you've been doing it, let's 5 years, you have a ton of episodes, about 600 episodes plus. That's a lot. That's value out there. And then if you're an interview podcast, which I'm guessing yours is your podcast an interview podcast?
Well, yes, it is. It's an interview podcast. So I do 2 episodes where I 2 episodes a week come out for interviews, and then 1 episode comes out as a solo.
Yeah.
So it's usually 2 to 3 a week.
Okay. So we have the episodes out there, and then we have the guest. And the thing about the guest is that it's easier to reach out to someone you've had a conversation with before versus you just messaging them and saying, "Hi, I saw you on online. I'd love to like." It's way different from because now I'm like, "Hi, Nina. The last time we spoke, your episode was really I really enjoyed the conversation. Right? I'd love for us to to collab more and or maybe 6 months later and say, yeah, the episode we recorded got over across the platforms and all that got over 10,000 listens and so number of persons listen to it, and I'm so glad that my audience stuff like that. And that way, because we don't what I'm saying is that we don't build relationships. We've had this guest we've spoken to, and we don't
Mm.
even keep in touch. There is nothing, no CRM,
Yeah.
nothing. And these are actual people that have valuable expertise. They have an audience. What's the word? They have their own audience, and we for most of them we connect, right? We really want to have, because it's not like they're I mean, they're all good people, but sometimes some guests, you have a conversation, you're like, we don't, there's just no chemistry. But the episode was great, but
Right.
but I just didn't. The conversation was not just. It was nice, but yeah, that was it. And then there are people like, I'd love to
Yeah.
have you back on the show again. When we should book a different time. There is no system in place to like foster that relationship so that we can partner, collab, and do things and more. Because we're always looking at the next thing, the next thing,
Yeah.
the next thing.
It's so
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that's what.
I do try to keep in contact as much as I can. So I have a team, and my team ends up, emailing people and just saying, you know, just wanted to say thank you so much for being a guest on my show this last year, that kind of thing. Is there anything I can do for you? So a lot of them do keep track with me. So they'll email me back and say, hey, Nina, I'm coming out with my book. Can I come back on? I'm like,
Okay.
heck yeah. So you'll see that on my show. Like if you follow my show, you'll see repeat of some of the guests, because I keep track of them or say hi to them, or every 6 months or so, I send out a, hey, how are you? Is there anything I can serve you with? How can we connect? Because you're right. There isn't like a solid system,
Yeah.
right? I'm just more intentional about that. So I have my team do that, but it's not solid. It's not like I'm doing all these events with all these people, because these people, many of them have said, Nina, can I hire you to come introduce me on stages because your energy is crazy? And I'm
Oh.
like, heck yeah, you better go ahead and call me, right? But I don't, we don't follow up with that. And you're right,
Oh, yeah.
and that's the type of thing. Now you're saying that, I'm thinking, wait a minute. I need to follow up with people when they tell me things like that, because it's true. Like when they're saying it, they probably really mean it. And because I'm not following up, I forget.
Yeah.
And you're right. We're
It
looking
just
for the
slips
next
through the next
thing.
thing. The next thing.
And I might be missing opportunities on the table.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
for someone like you that does just 2 episodes or 3 episodes in a week, that's not like so much. You could get an intern, right? I don't know if it's an intern, but I don't know what the word would be. But someone to just go through the episodes, and in that CRM will be, follow up on this, this, and then there'll be dates, and so they'll later on say, yeah, you did say you were going to remind this person of this. We should remind them of that, because yeah, yeah, that would be nice, because I've had so much yeah, what's the word? Yeah, opportunities, and sometimes I'm like, when you hop on from this interview, by the time you're on the third interview, you've forgotten, and sometimes I write it on my notes, and
Yeah.
and then I'm like, yeah, I'm like, oh, what did I say I was going to do? I can't even remember. Yeah.
I totally get that. And I've done that too. And you don't want to forget, because when you're writing the show notes or whatever, you may forget that they also gave like a special to your audience, or they
Yeah.
gave something free to your audience and you didn't put the links in the show notes, so you're right. We could lose,
Yeah.
we have a lot of things on the table, don't we? We
Yeah.
have to be
I've
better.
I've been entertaining these thoughts like a really long time on like in my head. And one of the things I noticed that one of the questions that came up was like, well, what if you don't get listeners and all that? I was like, yeah, I mean, what if I don't get listeners? I think in podcasting and building thought leadership and expertise in the industry is in two ways. There's the top chain and there's the bottom chain. The bottom chain are the listeners, the people who consume the content, and then the top chain are the thought leaders, right? And so you might say, oh, well, I'm a public speaking coach. And then the question is, in the public speaking coach of coaches around in the sphere, do they know you that you're a public speaking coach? Do other public
Right.
speakers know you? They know that you exist, right? So you want to build a relationship
Right.
in that top chain while you're also building the bottom I use bottom, not, I just came up with that word. It doesn't mean anything.
No, I understand what you mean.
Yeah.
And that's important. I think that's why I try to do a lot of like events, right, to
Yeah.
connect with these people. So I just did a Women Who Lead Summit, and I had over 40 speakers.
Wow.
And it was a lot of work. I was burnt out when I was done because it was so much interviewing and paperwork and not
Yeah.
paperwork, but digital work and all that kind of stuff. It was a lot of work. But it built relationships. Like now I can contact them and say, hey, listen, remember when you talked about this on my podcast? I really want to connect with you on that, because I have this project. And almost all of them are like, hell yeah, love your energy, love who you are. Let's do it. Right. So I think, a lot of what you're saying is very important, that connection, that community. Podcasters we also respect each other because we know the game.
Yeah.
We know how hard it is. We know what it takes. We know how editing is. We know how all of that stuff is. It's a lot more work than people tell you it is. It's also a lot of fun, but there is work. There's scheduling, there's show notes, there's, how you're going to interview style, there's topics, there's a lot of things to go through. And that's why, some women, I teach them how to do podcast. I don't even charge them. They just say, hey, Neena, you've been doing this a long time.
Yeah.
Can you help me do this? And I'm like, yeah, do this, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and off you go,
Yeah.
So sometimes you just have to serve to serve.
Yeah. Yeah. Because one of the thing I do when I think about things I want to do is I'm like, I try to like, I do I don't know what they call it, but I call it elimination thinking, where I'm like, okay, if I was to do a podcast and hypothetically there was nothing called views, listens, downloads, that stuff does not exist. Like it does not exist. There's nothing like that. You just do a podcast and you release it, right? And I'm like, okay, so what would I gain from the podcast? And I'm like, okay, yeah, I could really become eloquent. I could become a better speaker. I could get better at telling my own stories. I could also meet interesting and fantastic people. And I'm like, yeah, that's nice. Yeah, because what happens is that when you remove all those things, you then get to the core and really see, is this something I want to be doing? Because what will happen is that sometimes those external validation will not be there. And what happens then? You're like, this stuff is terrible. I'm not going to do it. I quit.
Yeah, exactly. Or if you get too caught up in thinking that it's fame overnight, you're going to quit.
Yeah.
Because when you see that only 3 people heard it, maybe 2 people subscribed, then you don't think it's worth it. Then you're like, oh, nobody's listening anyway. But you didn't even give it time. And a lot of times, even if you get a job, you don't know that job the first day you walk in. Sometimes it takes you 6 months to learn the job. Like, I don't know why we have this horrible expectation. I think it's because of all the lies on social media, right? Social media just lies to you all the time, right? These people who, like, I'll give you an example. I was following someone who had maybe over almost 200,000 followers on LinkedIn.
Okay.
And I was doing I went to a mastermind, and this creator happened to be on the mastermind, and she talked about how she's quitting because she has all these followers and puts out so many content and hasn't made a dime out of it, right? But on her socials, she says she's making 10K a month, right? So you're saying you're not making any money, but then on socials, you're saying you're making 10K a month.
Hold up.
And I get that. I think that what you're saying... Yeah, exactly. Something's not adding, right? The math ain't mathin'. But the thing is like, I realized that if she's somebody that I follow, and I actually respect her content is pretty good, So I'm like, maybe the messaging is coming off wrong or something, or maybe something that she has to do to kind of fix it. But I think her messaging is pretty good. But then that made me think, how many of these people are actually doing that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How many of them are actually doing that? Like, then I found out, like when you go to these big events and they're giving you free tickets. Well, it's not because it's a free ticket to their event. It's because they don't have enough butts and seats, and they have to give out as many tickets as possible to get your ass there, so they look like they have a following, right?
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm telling people, like, don't get caught up in that kind of nonsense. Just follow the person that you like. Subscribe to the podcast that you want to subscribe to, get value. And then when you've reached the person that you want to work with, because you like them, you trust them, you know them, you feel this good energy, now go ahead and invest the money that you should invest in yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that's important. I think we should be investing in ourselves, but I also feel like there's a lot of great information out there if you're willing to do the work.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just
Yeah.
looking at the time now, and I realize that. I
Oh,
mean,
yes. We should probably go. Yes. You got to get to sleep.
yeah. Quickly, I just asked you this question. I always ask my guest: does the podcast make money?
My podcast makes some money, not as much as I'd like it to make, but I do have some sponsors.
Okay.
So I do, I do a like little mini commercial breaks and stuff for my sponsors, but I wanted to make more money, and that's why I'm working with Next Level University and podcasting and all of that stuff because I'm
Yeah.
reframing, I'm reframing, refixing, and launching so it could be bigger and better.
Yeah.
It's time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When he came on the podcast, he did give me some business advice. That
Oh,
yeah,
he's
you're
amazing.
listening to the
Yeah.
episode, but fortunately, I was attacked by the internet that day.
Yeah, I know. I felt so bad. You're like, "Can you hear me? Can you hear me?" He's like, "Yes, I hear you."
Ah,
Okay.
oh man,
Yeah.
and I was like,
He's
I
really smart. He's wicked
yeah,
smart.
yeah.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
he he simplified everything. I was like, oh, well, I can see it now. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yes.
And now I'm
He's
building
amazing.
with that little tip. I'm building the podcast in a way that everything it becomes an ecosystem of business.
Yes, exactly. I
Okay.
mean, and I think they have like over 1,000 episodes. So,
Yeah, and
yeah.
they're still going on podcast guesting. So like, they're in the game, and yeah, he did share a
Yes, they
story, and
are.
and I'm glad I was able to have that conversation with him.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah,
you for having me on your show. I
yeah,
appreciate you.
my pleasure. Like, I know the one time I canceled, and then you rescheduled, and I was like, so the name Nina, like it's just stuck. Like, you know how because of that, so many interactions, even before the recording, I was like, yeah, Nina, like, yeah.
Yes.
And so
Yes, let's make sure we 5-star ourselves on Podmatch.
yeah, that's true. Since you mentioned 5 star, I'm just going to ask, would you be kind enough to leave a review for me on Apple Podcast, and I'll give you a shout out on one of my other
Absolutely.
episodes, not this episode, of course, because you're the guest. So I'll just give you a different shout out on someone else's episodes. Yeah, and then talk about and then the call to action. Say, yeah, if you'd love to check out stuff and all that, you can go to. I'll mention the link. I'll find your link. Don't worry.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. I would love to do that. I love supporting that way.
Yeah, yeah. So
100%. I'll do
since
that.
once you just leave in the review from your Podmatch, it's just to copy and then you just paste it on Apple Pod. You use iPhones, right? You're in the US, so
Yes. Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yep.
So you just copy and paste it. So that way, there's social proof that the podcast is legit. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Nina.
Thank you.
Finally, what advice do you have for yourself 7, 8 years ago, thinking about starting
Mm.
a podcast and wondering if the thing is for you?
Do it afraid. Do it anyway. Do it in fear. It's okay. Nobody's listening to you anyway. Nobody cares. So this is the best time. The best time to start is when you don't really have an audience, to be honest, because that's when you can be honest, mess up. You can do all the things. So just do it afraid. You can go to Straight Talk, no sugar added. Straight Talk, no sugar added. And you can find me anywhere on any of the socials. And you could also find me on Neena. It's NeenaPerez, right? Neena Perez, or Straight Talk, no sugar added. Thank you guys for having me.
That's it for today's episode of my podcast story. I hope you enjoyed listening to this journey as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. If you found value in today's episode, make sure to subscribe and leave a review. It really helps others discover the show. And don't forget to join the newsletter at mypodcaststory.com/join for more stories and podcasting insights. Until next time, keep telling your story because someone out there needs to hear it.